taking three.
Going for the St. Louis now.
Oh no!
Son of a bitch.
You get your two?
Yeah. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and today we are going to take a look at two different battles. The first, we are in the old Minekaze on New Dawn. Now, when I saw the matchmaker for this battle, I knew that great things were going to happen, specifically because of the tiering in this battle. Tier 5 happens to be the highest tier here, which is great, and I'm in my Minekaze, and there's a number of Tier 3s that are out there, so I was going into this battle under the assumption, correctly as well, under the assumption that the majority of these players would be sailing in straight lines. Yes. So, you know what that means. It's going to be time to just, rock out in the old Minekaze here and see how many kills I can rack up, and if I can get myself a Kraken, that would be pretty amazing. We can see some of the weather effects here at play. Love these weather effects. The one thing that there are a number of things that I'm not enjoying about the new patch, but as well, I still haven't got on Bastion. What the fuck? I have been playing ships. I've played more ships in the past 3 days than I have in the last month, and I still can't get it. I don't know what's going on. You would think that they would increase the chances of people getting into this Bastion game mode. Now, that being said, something just sparked here in the old brain that says that like this weekend, isn't there a special Bastion thing going on to make sure that we can all play Bastion? I'm not 100% sure on that. May need to look that up. But anyway, in the Minekaze, so you can see standard strategy that I usually employ on this map when I'm in a destroyer is I come to the middle. I'm not going to go directly into the center, not in this case anyway, because there isn't a B cap zone there, so there's no need to go all the way in, but I am definitely going to get close enough, so hopefully I can start spotting some things, use these islands here I have on the port side as cover against any incoming shots or torpedoes, and maybe even get some sneaky torpedoes off myself that end up doing some damage to the enemies. Plus, as well, the advantage here of coming into this part of the map when you're in destroyer is a scouting advantage, right? If I can start spotting enemy ships, my team is going to be able to quickly determine how the enemy has dispersed. Did they all come down to the south, like in a big lemming train, or did they split off? Some go to the west side, some down to the south, and maybe even some coming into the center, right? These are all important things to figure out at the beginning of the battle, and it's really what you count you count on your destroyers for, to give you this early intelligence. So we do see some enemies start popping up. We can see that, yeah, there are a number of enemies coming down to the south, but we also notice enemies up there in the north, right, pushing over to the west side. So obviously we are aware that these enemies have split off, and we'll need to deal with this. So I'm going to start working over these guys in the south. I'm in a good position here to get some torpedoes off on this player here. Just need to watch the target a little. I always like to watch the target a little before I launch torpedoes, and you can see the player automatically is in a turn, so yeah, those torpedoes probably aren't going to hit at all, so we're going to need to readjust here. We see more enemy ships coming down towards the south, and then I do notice as well the destroyer. We can see the destroyer right behind me as well. This is the enemy destroyer I'm pointing out, by the way, who's in the center of the map. So we can see that player there. Going to need to keep this player in mind. We do still have this enemy cruiser that I'm trying to do something about here as well, and it does look like it is a pretty even split for the enemies in terms of who's coming to the south and who's going to the east and in the middle. We still do have this cruiser in my sights, but no, I don't think we're going to actually continue along with this player here, right? Sailing away from me, there's not going to be a whole lot I can do, but I do have this cruiser here who has popped up, and it looks like, I am going to be able to get some sneaky torpedoes, so I start launching my torpedoes off the player, and hopefully those are going to hit and do some sort of damage here, but again, player pops out of sight, so we're going to need to reposition. Now this is something you do, it does happen often in destroyers, and you need to keep this in mind, is patience, right? Especially if you're going to be playing torpedo boats, like the Japanese destroyers, for example. You need a lot of patience, because you really do need to wait for the right opportunity to launch off your torpedoes, especially at the beginning of the battle like this, like we have here. Turns out I do end up killing I think it was a Kolberg tier 3 German cruiser, so I do end up killing that player with 2 torpedoes, get myself a devastating strike, and the enemy is down 1 less ship. So we have another enemy cruiser here. We can see kind of lining up on both of the enemy ships here, seeing what I've got. Thinking about going around behind this island to potentially just start routing the enemies and getting them back up, pushing them back up north, right? You can see that my team's dispersion here is basically the lemming train to the south. We don't have too many players up there in the north. I mean, to the credit of the player who is up there, we have a destroyer up there who is, beating back some enemies here, causing them some grief, but the majority of my ships are definitely down here in the south, so yeah, whatever. It does end up working out for us anyway. So I'm going to launch off some more torpedoes there at the enemy battleship. Hopefully that player just continues in a straight line and those torpedoes hit, but I'm really down here in the southeast, so I have to reposition myself to get back into the game here, because, I mean, yes, I do have this enemy battleship, but it does look like this enemy battleship is going to be sailing in a straight line, so those torpedoes are all going to hit, and I'm going to get a kill on this player. Yep, and there they go. Fantastic. So I managed to take out the enemy battleship, but now that that player is gone, it's really just one enemy cruiser down in and around here, the same Omaha that I've been trying to get since the beginning of the game, I believe. So I'm not really able to do a whole lot more down here, right? So we need to get repositioned, push myself up here into the north, and start lining up more torpedoes on more enemies. Taking a look around at how the battle is going, it seems to be going pretty good. I mean, we do have 3 enemy kills right now to the 1 kill that the enemy team has, so this is pretty decent. We've only lost 1 destroyer, and the enemies are down a battleship, which, again, it's fairly decent as well. Tier 4 Arkansas Beta, I mean, in this sort of matchmaking, it's still a ship, right? So it's still good that that player is gone. We have this enemy cruiser that has popped up. I had no idea this player was here, and I don't think that this player fully realized what was going on until it was too late, because you can see he's firing, not firing at me though, just firing at an enemy. So I'm going to get right in here, right in this player's face. I'm going to launch off my torpedoes, and hopefully there will be nothing that this player can do to avoid those torpedoes. So I launch off a few. It doesn't look like it's going so well, right, because the player has increased speed, and by increasing speed, the indicator isn't leaving me any time to actually get any shots off. However, I do get 1 torpedo hit there, so that's pretty decent. I saved my torpedoes, and you can see the player's now in a turn, so I'm going to launch off the rest of my torpedoes here and turn and get myself out of this situation. Using the cover I have, I get lucky. I mean, it is New Dawn, so we do have islands dispersed throughout the map, so usually you're in pretty close range of getting yourself back into some cover here if needed. Torpedoes are on the way for that enemy ship over there. However, it does look like they're all going to miss. Now my allies, though, do take the opportunity to get some quick shots into the enemy cruiser there, and we can see I just need to put in a few more shots here to actually finish them off and get the kill. So fantastic. 2 kills for me. Excellent. We do still have the enemy cruiser up here in the north, though. Keep this in mind. So I'm going to continue my push to the north. We can see the torpedoes. I believe it was the Svetlana that we killed. So the Svetlana definitely does have torpedoes. So those were on the way for me, but luckily able to avoid those. No big deal. There we have the enemy Omaha. That I have been trying to kill since the beginning of the match here. So we're going to see if I can't get it done now. This is pretty dangerous, though. I mean, the Omaha and the Phoenix doesn't really matter which one you're coming up against when you're in a Minekaze like this. Both have lots of guns, and they can fire pretty damn quickly, so we do need to keep this in mind. And basically what I tried to do was launch my torpedoes and increase the damage increase the distance as quick as possible between myself and this enemy player without firing my guns, because I wanted to go back to being unspotted as quickly as possible. So these torpedoes look pretty good, and I did get pretty lucky with them as well, in that the enemy player had to continue sailing almost in a straight line in order to not ground himself. So I get 2 torpedo hits on that Omaha there, but no kill. But whatever, no big deal there. At least I did a bunch of damage, and hopefully one of my allies will be able to swing in here and take out this enemy Omaha. Now, while this was going on, my team was not sitting back doing nothing. We can see that my team has racked up some more kills, right? So suddenly there are only 5 enemy ships remaining, one of which is their aircraft carrier, so this is good. If we can just get ourselves a few more kills here, we will definitely have victory. I'm already up to about 73,000 damage. You can see my damage totals are continuing to increase. This is because the Omaha is flooding, so this is fantastic. I was really hoping, because suddenly I realized that the enemy Omaha is flooding, and there we go. I do actually end up getting the kill for my 3rd kill and another devastating strike for my 2nd one in the game. So fantastic. No, or sorry, fantastic. Saying that a lot, yeah. So excellent. Anyway. Continuing to move to the north, right, I do definitely know that there are enemy ships up here. We can see them. We can see the enemy aircraft carrier coming straight at me, turns out, so this is great. We do have some enemy cruisers up here as well that we're going to need to deal with, so alright, we're going to start lining up torpedoes. If I can get this enemy carrier gone, this would be fantastic. I mean, the enemy carrier is a pretty damn big threat to a destroyer like this. Obviously, with the planes that the enemy aircraft carrier has, not only can the player spot you, but then the player can also attack you, right, with the dive bombers and the torpedo bombers. And even though it might be fairly easy to dodge some of those incoming planes, if the aircraft carrier decides to swarm you with all of the planes that the player has available to them, then, you know, this could be fairly problematic and potentially kill you. So you need to keep this in mind. Also need to keep in mind that the aircraft carriers, I think all of them, I'll say all of them, have secondary batteries. So you do also need to keep this in mind, right? If you are on low health and you're a destroyer, do not charge the aircraft carrier. Just try not to do it, because you definitely will get engaged by those secondary batteries, and this could be, you know, it could actually take you out, and that's not going to help anyone. It looks like we have an AFK enemy cruiser, so I launched off 2 torpedoes at that player. I'm not going to put in a full spread because I do know, there we go, enemy aircraft carrier is right in front of me, so I did want to get this kill, or at least damage this player and have one of my allies help finish him off. So I'm holding those other torpedoes in reserve until I can actually spot the enemy aircraft carrier. We know that the player is right here. I am really close to the enemy aircraft carrier, but I do have enough hit points at this point in time. I felt that I'd be able to engage, the enemy aircraft carrier and the secondary batteries that the player has without too much concern. You can see, enemy aircraft carrier secondary batteries are engaging me. So I have torpedoes on the way for the enemy Zihu, however you pronounce that. The player, did take evasive action, was able to avoid those two spreads of torpedoes I launched, but I did have the 3rd one there that I had launched originally at the AFK cruiser, who is now flooding, by the way. So those were able to reload, and I get those torpedoes off, and hopefully those are going to do some damage. Earned myself a high caliber there and a Confederate, so this is pretty fantastic. Again, the enemy aircraft carrier manages to avoid my torpedoes. Get myself a 4th kill. That is the AFK cruiser that was flooding there, so I managed to get that kill, so fantastic. And continue to engage the enemy aircraft carrier. I really wanted this player to go down. Luckily, though, I do still have friendly support in and around me. I do have a friendly ship somewhere. We can see the shots coming in. I don't think I actually spot the player, but the shots are coming in. So this is fantastic. If we can get this enemy aircraft carrier gone, then I can turn and engage the enemy cruiser, because there is still an enemy cruiser nearby me. There we go. The enemy cruiser is right there. So I see the enemy cruiser, and this is what it's dealing all the damage to me. So I actually do have to start engaging the enemy cruiser and just have faith that my ally will take out the enemy aircraft carrier. And in fact, that's exactly what happens. Enemy aircraft carrier is gone. Excellent. So this enemy Kirov need to take this player down, right? This player can do a whole lot of damage to me. I do have 2 torpedoes on the way, and I was very surprised that player actually did sail in a straight line and hit both of those torpedoes. So battle is over. That was the last enemy ship on the enemy team, and you may have noticed there right at the end, got myself the Kraken. So finished the battle with about 120,000, 10 torpedo hits, got the Confederate. Kraken 4 devastating strikes and the high caliber. So that is not too bad at all. 361,000 credits, 9 floods. You can see I did finish the US Hunter thing there, so that's great. Just give me some extra bonuses. Over 2,000 base experience, which is definitely over double the highest earning enemy player. You can see how the damage breaks down here, so it did number of damage to a number of players, which wasn't too shabby at all. And again, when all is said and done, I walk away with 346,000 credits, which is fantastic. Always ecstatic to get a number of credits and experience like this. I know the Minekaze that I have is basically a premium ship at this point in time, but it's always great to just get extra experience and credits, obviously. Alright, so moving into the next clip, you can see I'm in the Shchors and we are on Northern Lights. This was actually the first battle I played this morning. Just, you know, I think there's some sort of summer tournament thing happening later today with the clan. So I just wanted to make sure that I jumped into battle and, you know, had a few practice rounds before that begins. So, in the Shchors on Northern Lights. Now, I am definitely going to be going to the west side. I mean, based on where I spawned and the fact that this is not a domination battle, whether, you know, the different cap zones, so I don't have to worry about making sure that we take, you know, A and B or C and D or whatever the team decides. I'm going to go to the west and I'm going to try and support my team on the west, because I definitely know that there will be battleships over there, my battleships and enemy battleships, and I wanted to be able to rain down fire onto the enemy battleship, so that's what I'm going to go and try and do. It also is going to play well with the playstyle of the Shchors. Now, it doesn't happen every battle, obviously. I mean, you know, there definitely had the battles where I load in, maybe go 100 meters, maybe, and get like quad citadeled and just die right away. Definitely have had those battles in this ship. So it is always tricky to get yourself positioned, and it's easy to say, you know, that with the Shchors and the range, well, even the Russian cruisers in general, I mean, you do kind of want to stay back with the battleships to a certain extent, right? You don't want to be right up there on the front lines with some of maybe the closer in cruisers or destroyers, but you also don't want to be, you know, too close to the enemy. So I've got a 17-kilometer range basically on the Shchors here, so my ideal range from an enemy is going to be 14 to 16 kilometers. That's what I'm going to try and shoot for here. Again, very easy to say, not always easy in practice, right? It's not going to happen every time. Most of the battles I show on the channel are the you know, ideal situation. Anyway, it does look like we have some pretty good support over here on the west. A number of cruisers. You know, I've got the Buddy. We can see the New Orleans. I'm pretty sure there's a battleship in and behind us. I've got this Thotgor here on the starboard side. So taking a look around, we do start seeing enemy ships pop up. I liked this battle and the matchmaking that resulted from this battle because it wasn't too heavy in tier 8s. And that's actually, you know, one of the positive things of the new patch. I do actually enjoy the some of the new matchmaking mechanics. I think that was a pretty good improvement, you know, considering what we had before, where you would get, I don't know, a number of tier 8 battleships versus, say, a number of tier 10 battleships. So I, you know, really enjoying the matchmaker as it is now, and enjoyed the spread of ships that we have here. Tier 8, yeah, it is definitely a tier 8 battle, but there's not so many tier 8s that it's just completely overwhelming. Anyway, we have our first victim here. So this enemy destroyer has made a tragic mistake. Charged out on the west side as if there was an actual point to capture. And you can see what this player is getting for his or her trouble, right? There we go. Enemy destroyer is gone. First blood, and my first kill. Fantastic. Enemy Hatsuharu pops up. So, second victim here. Now, obviously, this player saw what happened to his ally, and immediately starts to pop smoke and turn away. Unfortunately for this enemy Hatsuharu, one of my cruisers on this side is a New Orleans, and the New Orleans has the radar ability, and my ally has popped that ability, so it doesn't matter how much smoke this Hatsuharu has, you know, how far. Well, I guess it does matter how far the player gets from us, but none of this is really coming into play right now because all of my allies who are in and around me, we're all focusing down this Hatsuero. This player is going to go down. It's just a matter of who's going to get the kill, right? And obviously as well with the current missions that are going on for the Mikasa, I always struggle to say that, but anyway, the Japanese Tier 2 premium battleship, everyone is out to get kills. Everyone wants them, so yeah, we are all focusing down this destroyer. It's actually working out quite well for us too. There we go, one of my allies gets the kill, enemy destroyer is gone, so you know, we're, I don't know, maybe not even 5 minutes into the battle, we're about 6 minutes into the battle, and the enemy has lost 2 destroyers. Now, to our credit, we did lose a cruiser. You can see it right there, sinking away. That's our buddy. Kind of tragic, but you can see as well what pushing forward in a Russian cruiser with not so much support against a battleship got that player, right? The buddy's just gone now. It's over for that player. But anyway, I'm going to continue circling in the back here, and we're going to start focusing down this Fuso. Going to try and get the Fuso on fire and gone. This would be ideal. So we can see already the Fuso's on fire ×2. Obviously, because the fire continues to burn, this player's repair party is on cooldown. So it's just a matter of, you know, how many more fires can we set and how much damage can we actually manage to do over time to this player to get the player gone. We do see some enemy reinforcements coming over to the west side as well. We'll notice the Mogami in the background. But as well, if we look at the mini-map, you might have quickly noticed there some enemy ships are actually heading over this way. So we need to prepare ourselves. Now, I did see this, and because I'm staying in the back, I'm willing to cut loose on this side at any time. If things start going wrong here for my allies, I am going to just turn away and get out of this whole situation. You might want to call it running. I will call it strategically retreating. But I'm not above doing that. I did just lose another ally there in front of me, but things still seem to be going fairly well. I mean, we do see the Fuso is now engaging me. We have shots coming in from the Fuso, but I wasn't too concerned about those shots, for obvious reasons, right? Clearly those were going to miss me. So while I can, I will just continue to put shots into the Fuso. Now, important to note here as well, in this battle, this is actually the last battle in the Shchors that I played before my commander becomes retrained. So that explains, why you're not noticing the situational awareness, why I'm not setting, well, I do set a number of fires in this battle, but it would have been more because, my captain does have Demolition Expert, that ability as well, but I just wanted to make sure that that gets pointed out. Anyway, continuing to engage the Fuso, we can see that more enemy ships are coming closer in to us now as well. So I'm going to put some final shots into the Fuso here, and we're going to take a look around to see how the battle is progressing. The enemies are making a play at my base at this point in time. Put some shots into the New Mexico. Looking at my base, though, I do have a number of allies over there, right? We can even see that there are still more enemy ships, 2 battleships, I think, that are making their way towards our base. But again, we have some pretty good coverage at the base, pretty good defense going on there. So yeah, I'm not going to need to turn around and go back to the base. I'm going to stay over here in the west where I am, but I am going to open up the distance between myself and the closest ship, and the closest ship is going to be, I think it's a Mogami that's coming around that corner there. So I wanted to make sure that I was prepared for it. So I do currently have armor piercing loaded because I was fully expecting this Mogami to come around this headland here and give me a nice broadside to get some shots in. Managed to take out the Fuso. Now that was my fire that I set to the Fuso, so that kept burning on the player there, and managed to take that player out for my second kill, so that's not too bad. So there we go. The Mogami is turning into me, giving me a nice broadside, so we're just going to start pumping in the armor-piercing shots. The armor-piercing shots, or your shells on the Shchors here at close range like this, they are amazing if you're fighting against other enemy cruisers. Definitely you want to load up those armor-piercing shells. So there we go. One salvo goes in, gets a citadel, does a crap ton of damage to the Mogami there. You can see all my other players as well, my allies, are helping out and taking out the Mogami. Mogami is gone. Get the kill. 3 kills. Fantastic. Switch over to high explosive once again, and we're going to start setting this New Mexico on fire. Going to try and get this player gone. Now, I've seen it a lot in the past few days, and I don't quite understand it. Well, I guess I do understand it. Players varying their speed, right? Not just staying at full speed or at a full stop. And I understand it makes sense. You're trying to throw off the enemy incoming shells so that it's harder to get a beat on you. That makes sense to me. What doesn't make sense to me is when a player like this New Mexico here is basically going at like a quarter or half speed, or was, and we'll see it. No, we don't see it in this battle, but I played another battle in my Kutsov where an Admiral Hipper did it to me as well. They go at a half speed, quarter speed, and yeah, my first few shots miss because I wasn't expecting them. But then I realized the speed they're going at, and I adjust my aim, and I start racking up a lot of damage and a lot of hits on those players. But they continue to go at quarter speed, half speed. They don't then change their speed. It just doesn't make any sense to me at all. What is going through those people's minds? Maybe they just don't realize the amount of damage that is happening to them and how quickly it's adding up. I don't know. But if you are going to be varying your speed, you need to keep in mind that you need to continue to vary your speed, because it doesn't matter what speed you're at. Once the enemy figures out the lead on your ship and how to actually lead the target and to land the shells and to do the damage, your whole thing is blown. Your cover is blown. You need to start adjusting speed. So we do take out the enemy New Mexico, so this is fantastic. You can see that the enemy battleships are in my base right now, and they are actually starting to cap it. But again, we have good coverage and good defense up there at my base, so not 100% concerned about it. Now, that being said, I'm not willing also to just go to the edge of the map where these enemy players are that I'm shooting at, like the New Orleans, the Mogami. I think there's an aircraft carrier back there as well. Or not the New Orleans, the what's it called? Cleveland. I'm not willing to chase those guys down, but I'm going to continue on this side, on the southern half of the map here. And this way I'm still able to fire in on the enemy ships, but more importantly, if all else fails at my base, I can still easily turn around and start engaging some of those enemy ships. So this Cleveland, I'm not 100% sure what was going on, again, in this captain's mind, because they're, sailing in a straight line, and there is a lot of fire coming in on this player. I would have thought that there would have been some evasive action here, but no, none whatsoever. I really do enjoy the Shchors as well when alternating the firing from the bow guns to the stern guns, because it just makes it seem like more consistent fire coming out of your ship. Basically, there's kind of always fire coming out of your ship, and you really do start racking up the damage here. I mean, we can see the damage counter just increasing over time as the fire burns on the Cleveland and as my shots go into the Cleveland as well. So just a few more final shots here on the Cleveland, and we'll have this player gone as well, and then that'll be my 4th kill. Fantastic, there we go, 4 kills. Alright, so we have the Mogami. Now, we're going to have to do something about this player here. It's the last enemy ship. I didn't actually think I was going to, have the time to get the kill on this player, but turns out I did. So while the player is maneuvering around and I'm still a bit of a ways away from the Mogami, I'm going to keep my high explosive loaded and just sort of cascade this in on the player, hoping to set a few fires and make him use the repair party. What I am going to do as well, though, is notice the island here that we have in front of us. I'm going to use this island to close the distance in on the Mogami, and then switch over to the armor piercing so that I can get the broadside shots into the player, right? And hopefully start racking up citadels and a bunch of damage. So that's going to be my general plan here. Fully aware that the Mogami is maneuvering behind the island, so we're going to switch over here to some armor piercing once I get a look at the player to make sure that, yeah, there is in fact a broadside being presented, and there's the broadside. So we're going to queue up the high explosive, we're going to get rid of queue up the armor piercing, get rid of the high explosive in the barrels, and then watch those shots go in. Bit of damage, no big deal. We do have some torpedoes on the way in. Now these are friendly torpedoes. I am incredibly focused on the Mogami at this point in time, right? I saw the friendly torpedoes and I assumed that they wouldn't hit me because they're friendly torpedoes. No, they do actually hit me. Yeah, they do hit me. I'm taking a bit of damage here from it. Repair the damage, whatever, no big deal. Get in a bunch of citadels here on the Mogami. There's 2 more citadels and the Mogami is almost gone. Basically just 1 more salvo here and we'll have this player gone, and you can really see how quickly the damage can be dealt out here in this Shchors. So get the kill on the Mogami, and that is another Kraken. Fantastic. fantastic. So battle is over, victory is ours. We just need to take a look at the final results here to see what we ended up walking away with. So first blood in the Kraken, which is pretty great. Over 50 or about 5,100 experience, 94,000 damage, which isn't too bad. Did a number of missions there, got about 5 citadels as well, which is pretty great. Top of the team overall, which is not too bad at all. Always good to see that. Some of the damage breakdown here, you can really see some of the fire damage that was done right to the Fuso. Anyway, what I do end up walking away with is about 319,000 credits, which is not too shabby at all. And you can see as well the commander experience I get from all those missions I did, about 90, I think it's 9,500, and that is what attributed to the commander finally becoming trained on the Shchors, which is great because now I can use all those fantastic captain abilities that I have on him. Anyway, that is today's video. I do hope you enjoyed it. Remember to leave any comments you have for me in the video comment section below. Of reading those and responding back to them. Hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you were not a subscriber. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.